Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another one of the TravelMole in conversation with broadcasts during this pandemic. I'm not going to repeat my plea for the end of the pandemic, but we can sure see it's coming to an end with the rollout of the vaccine, certainly here in the United Kingdom. I'm delighted today to have a man who's leading the charge here in the UK for a company called Tiqets, and that's spelt T-I-Q as opposed to T-I-C-K. And they're a bit of a disruptor in the museum and attraction business in terms of getting tickets. We're going to talk to him, and his name is Alexis Peppis. And good morning, Alex.
Morning, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. You have a very grandiose statement on your website, a huge sort of statement that says you want to bring culture to the people. It sounds the sort of thing Karl Marx would come out with, but it's actually your company. I wondered if you could explain how you intend to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. A grand mission statement, certainly, but one we definitely stand by and have been achieving. We started off back in 2014 connecting with cultural venues. So definitely those of the old world thought of culture, museums and galleries, the Louvre in Paris, MoMA in New York and what have you. But then it soon dawned on us that, culture has different meanings to different people. And it's not just the museums and galleries that are culture. It could be sharing a thrilling experience on a theme park. It could be marveling the views, at the top of the Shard or the Empire State Building. So we then started loaning and working with those types of venues. But it's not just the mainstream venues as well. So, we have the remarkable venue awards that we host every year. And one of the awards is for Hidden Gem. So we also want to point out, those smaller, maybe museums or galleries or attractions that don't get the limelight as often. One of my favorites is the Cavalry Museum in London. I love taking my boy to that so he can dress up as a soldier and see the fine horses, and then pop outside and see the changing of the guard. It's those kind of little things as well. So it's making it easier for people to discover, what's on their doorstep. So we have our .com website, but more importantly, we have the app. And that allows people to see, what is around them, what is visible, and what's happening. And I think that's ever more important right now as everyone reopens again. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of, all the attractions now competing for your time. And you want to know what's happening. You want to know what's going on at Hampton Court. What's happening at the Tower of London. What's going down. What exhibitions are in place. So a lot of the exhibitions have got pushed back, of course, didn't they? So, or completely removed. So you may not know what's going on. So it's nice to be able to have that clear voice that we're able to deliver and say, this is where you want to go. And we work very closely with our partners. We've recently done a survey to 7,000 participants. And the number one thing that came up was that you have to be flexible. That was even more so than enhanced cleaning or I want to have physical space around me. It was, I need a flexible ticket. So we've been working with our partners, our venue partners, to make sure that we can deliver a flexible tickets to our customers.
And so, do you? In the tickets empire, if you like, in addition to selling tickets or distributing tickets to these museums, and we're getting to the process of that in a minute, do you also try and act as almost like a philanthropic hub of event information? You mentioned the changing of the guard, etc. They have that outside Buckingham Palace, but I'm assuming that you can't sell tickets for that. But do you still let people know what's going on for those types of events, or is it?
Yeah,
purely...
absolutely. We have city guides on our .com website and in our app. If you search London or Paris or New York, you will get the top highlights for that city, and it may not be something that we can sell. Obviously here in the UK, we have the benefit that a lot of museums are actually free to enter. But we still want to talk about the British Museum or the Natural History Museum. And so we do where we can. And also in the pandemic, we've had to pivot like many people. So we've been doing a lot of virtual behind the scenes talks, as it were. Very low tech, much like today with the Zoom.
This is high tech.
Sorry.
High tech.
High tech, sorry, very high tech, very complex and complicated. We have, a tour guide and someone follows them with a mobile phone to stream live to our audience. At Halloween, we managed to do a live tour of Dracula's castle in Romania.
And do you see that type of event continuing even once we're in the freedom of non-COVID state?
The pandemic has changed consumer behaviour. I don't think it's going to replace, but it's definitely going to have its part. And this is what we want to do with the virtual campaigns we've been doing. It's not watch it online rather than go. It's kind of have it as a supplement. What can we do behind the scenes? What information can we give? So we had John Lennon's sister, Julia, give us a tour of Strawberry Fields and give us some real deep insights into some of the key pieces that you could see there, and some of the behind the scenes stories of when John Lennon was a child. So it's that kind of, love, kind of almost generating that wanderlust to go and see the Strawberry Fields because you saw it online, you heard these wonderful stories, and now you want to book a ticket and go.
Yeah. So let's focus a little bit on the system itself, on the business, if you like. There's lots of ticketing solutions around, and obviously you know that because you're in the business. But what makes Tiqets so special? Why have you made such a big land grab in this area?
Well, I mean, I think Tiqets was ahead of its time. Back in 2014, when we launched, 2016 over here in the UK, we always pushed the message of you don't need to print a ticket. It seemed absurd to us that you could board a flight, book a hotel, and then arrive at a city. But then if you wanted to enter a location, you had to go find an internet cafe and a printer and print off the ticket to gain entry. It seemed kind of backwards that you could do the big important things like get on a board a flight and book a hotel room. You couldn't enter a venue with your mobile phone. And that just seemed so backwards. So we were ahead of our time there in trying to get everyone moving to a digital landscape so that you can purely just book your ticket on your phone and say, here's my ticket, show it on your phone and enter. Obviously now the pandemic has pushed that agenda even more to the forefront of venues and consumers' mindsets, that they don't want that tactile touch point anymore, so it all has to be digital. But in terms of what makes it special, I guess it's I'm going to be obviously biased. We have some real passionate people who work for us, and that makes such a difference because we're actively asking ourselves as culture goers that what do we want as a consumer, and then we do talk to our venues and say, what do you want as a venue, and let's build it, let's create it. Let's work together. Let's get people off the sofa more often.
And what do you put that enthusiasm amongst your colleagues down to? Is it you pay massive salaries, or you've created a culture within Tiqets that's, you're playing basketball and snooker all day long, and then you come up with a creative idea?
I wish we were doing that all day long. But it is, we've built a very strong internal culture. And, when we go through the hiring process, one of the interview stages is with someone just to see if you would fit the culture of Tiqets, not just what is your skills and background, but who you are as a person. Where does your passions lie? And,
sorry to interrupt, but what would be a key question if, say, you were interviewing me for a job at Tiqets? What would, you just look at me and think, no, I'm not going to fit. But it could be, what would be a question to me to make sure that I fit into the Tiqets culture? Is there a key question, or is it just a feel?
I mean, there are definitely some questions, and you obviously get that feeling of someone, but the most obvious question is, what is your passion? And it doesn't have to be, I love going to the Natural History Museum. It could be model railway trains. I want to see someone light up at the idea of their passion and really get enthused about it and tell me and get excited about, maybe it's I've improved my par on a certain golf course or something. I just want to see their eyes light up and them share that enthusiasm. If you're able to do that, then there's a place for you at Tiqets, I believe.
Okay, so what's the business model behind Tiqets? Do you say I run a museum for old decrepit golfers and we're selling tickets? You want to come in, I say to Tiqets, right, you know, what's the deal? Do you charge me as a venue in terms of a one-up installation package price, if you like, for the software? Or do you charge me on a per ticket basis based on an assessment of my business? And then do you also charge some form of commission when I, as a punter, want to go to the decrepit golfers museum?
No, so it purely is on that commission per ticket basis. You know, we've always kept to that. There are no upfront fees. There's no other marketing fees or costs involved. You know, it's very simple that way, and it makes it for a no-brainer. We don't want to make it difficult for our venues.
But what's the criteria? What's the, you know, if I say I sell 100 tickets a year, that's presumably going to be below your threshold of wanting to get involved, isn't it? Unless I'm charging £1,000 a ticket.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we have to take that into consideration. You know, if you're selling 100 tickets a year, you know, where would you fit? You know, would it be, you know, how could we help you? You know, if you're a brand new, just launched museum, like Museum of Literature Ireland, which only launched like 2 years ago or something, you know, it's then obviously have that conversation. How can we launch you as a brand? How can we tell our consumers that you exist? And as I say, we do work with those hidden gems. So it's not just about, can you generate revenue for us? It's are you a high quality establishment? And you know, it doesn't have to be the same stage as the British Museum. You know, we work with like the Museum of Brands here in London. You know, it's a lovely little museum that's really delightful to go see. Really, I love going there as well. But you know, it's not on the same stage as the British Museum. But it's definitely worth telling our consumers that exists, because they may not know.
And I presume your software handles things like timed entry and all those types of things. So for when it's a really popular venue, and you know, in the old days you would have queued up in the pouring rain to get in it, like, you know, Anne Frank's house in Amsterdam, for example.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, it may not be one of your clients, but that's a good example where in the old days you could queue from Amsterdam to Rotterdam to get in there, but these days you get a timed entry.
I mean, again, with the pandemic, timed entries are so important right now to manage capacities at the venues. So yes, we've always had that functionality. Some venues have used it. Some used to be in the past just turn up, you can get in. You know, if they Edinburgh Castle, Tower of London. You know, but obviously now they have to have time restrictions. Hopefully, over time they will be dropped again. So it gives those people, the consumers, the flexibility to not be so rigid to a time slot and really take in the city, because you know, a lot of consumers like to just, you know, stroll along the Thames before they turn up at the Tower of London. You know? Sure. But yes, we have that technology. We can, you know, we've got allocations, time slots, you know, various different tools to try and spread the demand across the day as well.
Well, let's assume I've signed up with you. How do you help sell my tickets? Obviously, I can sell my tickets through my own website, but you have a distribution channel as well, don't you?
Yes, we have a very strong distribution channel. We have about 3,000 partners that use us to some various degree, from affiliates to white labels. You know, we have various solutions for our partners. What we look for is you know, those high quality companies that fit within our ecosystem. Where would it make sense for us to say to a consumer, do you want to go visit a venue? And we have to be careful there, because we are working with some of the world's biggest known visitor attractions, big brands, and they trust us with their brands. So we have to be equally protective as they would, and so we only want the very best companies to work with us and work with us on a distribution level. So we've got to be careful about who we do and who we don't partner with, and so we always take that into consideration. But that's one marketing channel, is the distribution. We've obviously got our own marketing, as I talked earlier about, running virtual campaigns. We also do, promotional campaigns. We'll be going big this summer, obviously, as Europe reopens. We have our social media and our CRM newsletters, and it's talking to that venue and understanding what their needs are. Some do want the big shout visibility. Others, it's more, we want to work on our yield. So what tools can you bring in to improve our yield? And things like that. So it's understanding what the venue's needs are and applying everything we've got to help them achieve whatever their goals may be.
So Tiqets, I believe, was originally a Dutch company, like lots of these booking systems, like Booking.com, etc. How long have you been in the UK, and what sort of market share do you think you've got? Do you have a feel for that?
So we came into the UK 2 years after they launched in Amsterdam. So 2016 is when we launched in the UK. We've been extremely busy over those past 4.5 years. Getting the very best visitor attractions on board, which we do have. Definitely have a browse of our site and you'll see. In terms of market share, we've definitely seen growth. We see huge growth even during this pandemic, and I think that's largely thanks to our pivoting to the virtual campaigns. We did another one where a gondola tour around Venice for Valentine's Day, and that got picked up by press. That got featured on our own marketing, and the reach there was about 81 million, which is fantastic. And that's what we want. We want to engage with an audience, not just with the message buy tickets, buy tickets, buy tickets. We want to engage with them. We want to see and be involved in everything these wonderful institutions can bring. And that's really helped us. We have seen growth in terms of subscribers, in terms of followers, and hopefully once Europe reopens, we will see that pent-up demand be delivered through ticket sales.
Good. Well, all of that expansion, because I think you're not just here and Holland now, is sort of more or less a global company as far as I understand. That requires a lot of investment cash to expand at that rate and at that's those distances, that coverage. I know that one of your investors is Airbnb, which is not that recent but fairly recent. Are you aware of that internally, and do you feel that that's a good fit with you and Airbnb?
Yeah, I mean, we were delighted to see Airbnb come in as a financial investor. 2019, that was. We all know Airbnb. We've all seen it grow tremendously, and so we were quite honoured that they decided to invest in us. We see how they started and how they've become, and then we were trying to learn from that. What can we apply that Airbnb have done so successfully? How can we apply that to Tiqets? And we have expanded on a global stage. You'll see us in every major city. We have offices in across America, across Australasia, across Europe. So it's fantastic that investment and that trust from Airbnb that we're on the right course.
Good. Well, Alex, I've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you very much for the overview of Tiqets. I wish you the very, very best of luck, and that coming out of the pandemic, you should be in good shape to reap the rewards of people running around like headless chickens wanting to visit everywhere.
I am. I'm going to be one of them. Tomorrow I'm taking my son to Legoland Windsor, so I'm really excited. That's my first visit since the pandemic, so I'm super excited. And I believe we've also got a discount for any listeners, a 15% discount for tickets should they wish to follow me at Legoland or somewhere else.
15%. Excellent. It sounds good to me. I might come to Legoland Windsor on my own, I think.
I'll see you on the roads.
Indeed. Thank you very much, and I hope to speak to you again in the future.
Thanks so much for your time.
Cheers.